The monster was back and close behind Mom as he thought, "How dare this pathetic creature go against me? How dare she not cower before me?" Hello, welcome to In My Words. The book I am reading from is titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles. This book is not intended for young readers. After each reading session, I will briefly give information about a chosen plant. I hope through my words you will gain insight, knowledge, and a deeper appreciation and understanding of this mysterious and intricate world. Though the road may be long and hard, compassion and beauty can be gained through the enjoyment of nature and experiencing its wondrous gifts. Thank you for joining me. Chapter 24, Cornmeal Mush. "I'm not a child. I'm not eating that mush," Mom said obstinately, pointing to the bowl of gruel sitting in front of her. "The F you aren't." Dad grabbed the bowl in one large hand and shoved it into his wife's face. Outraged, Mom rose from the table. Snatching the bowl of cornmeal mush, she walked over to the sink and rinsed the vile food from its confines, watching as the gritty residue went down the drain. Putting the bowl in the sink, she proceeded to wash the gruel off her skeletal face. Mom was starting to find her voice. She began to realize that no one should be treated so cruelly. Dad felt otherwise. The monster was back and close behind Mom as he thought, "How dare this pathetic creature go against me? How dare she not cower before me?" The children tensed, knowing something bad was going to happen. Sarah didn't want to watch, but then was afraid to look away. She wanted to help Mom. She wanted to make the monster stop. Little Johnny began to cry. Sarah scampered to his side and hid him behind her. She didn't want the small child to see what was about to take place. Just then, Dad lashed out. The gruesome, looming monster grabbed Mom and shoved her into the dishwasher. Mom stumbled and fell back, hitting the side of the machine. The monster was unrelenting. Reaching out its large, mutated appendages, it swiftly grabbed and lifted Mom off the floor. The children began screaming. No one heard their pleas. Mom was so small compared to Dad that no matter what she tried, the monster overtook her. Frantically, its arms were snaking all over the young woman. It moved from one unprotected part of the abused woman's body to the next, never relenting, wanting more, a need to quench its thirst upon Mom, trying to inflict as much damage to the already bruised and battered female as possible. Mom was covering herself, trying to dodge the flying fists and tremendous kicks aimed toward her body. However, there was no ebbing of the monster's fury. Time after time, the monster came in for another punch, kick, or hit. Mom screamed, "Stop! Stop! You're going to kill me!" Hearing her beg for mercy fueled the revolting being, giving it added life and urging on the torment. The children continued their screams. "Stop! Dad! Stop!" Their eyes were filled with horror that was being displayed in front of them. This time, they thought, this time the monster will win, and Mom will die. The children were paralyzed with fear, each wanting to help to protect, but none daring to come to her aid. What seemed to be hours passing were only minutes, but those minutes were so long. No longer being able to watch the furious attacks upon Mom, Joe swiftly moved away from the table and towards the battle. All the children knew they would be no match against the monster, but Joe had to try. As he neared the monster, all it took was one swift movement of its rock-like arm as it threw the young boy across the room. The final heavy fist came down, and then a snap. The sound was so loud, even the children sitting at the table were able to hear it. Mom stopped moving in Dad's arms. Dad dropped Mom to the ground. Laying in a heap, Mom was deathly still. The children scrambled to their feet and ran to Mom. No, don't. You'll only make it worse, Mom whispered in a pained voice as the children neared her. Little Johnny was close on Sarah's heels. He stayed by her side, feeling a sense of security with her. Mom was right. If they tried to help her, the monster would refuel itself and start anew. The frightened children, including Joe, backed away from their mom and sat down at the table, finishing their mush. They didn't want the monster to attack them. When they had eaten their entire bowl of gritty food, they stayed seated, for they didn't want to get in trouble for having left the table before Dad said they could. Their small bodies, shivering with fear for the turmoil which hung so heavily in the air, almost seemed to consume their every movement and breath. Plopping down on the chair next to Sissy, the monster also finished eating its food. Through veiled lashes, it waited for the small woman to make any type of movement, for it wanted to feel superiority over another. What fun would it be to beat something which was dead? So it waited. Several minutes later, Dad began to appear. Looking around at his silent children, he questioned, "Why the F are you sitting here? Do you want to be punished?" Thomas felt dazed and confused. He didn't understand what was happening around him. "No," came the children's response to his earlier question. Quickly trying to remember what he had just said to his children, Dad replied, "Then get the F out of here." "Mom is hurt," Scott spoke up as he moved away from the table, fearing for her safety. Dad looked over to the pile on the floor, which was Mom, saying, "She's faking it." With dread, the children swiftly rose from the table and went outside, not knowing if Mom would live or die. I appreciate all of you who are watching my videos. If you have any questions regarding plant growing, or if you are interested in learning why I wrote the books I have, and if I am working on another book or two, please leave your comments below and I will try to get back to you in a timely manner. I am doing all the editing and producing of this content on my own. I never expected doing this at this stage of my life, but when circumstances demand, then it is important for me to create income where I can. Leaving a comment will help my videos get noticed more in the future and allow other people to view them. Also, purchasing one or both of my books will be very helpful. Thank you for your time and consideration. Of planting. The most popular seasons for planting in each year are spring and autumn. The roots of all plants that are taken up should be preserved entire and not thinned or lopped unless when diseased. As planting is usually performed in rows, care should be taken that the direction of the rows be north and south. The ground and plants will then receive the greatest portion of sunshine, and plants will be more thriving than any other position at similar distances could render them. Meaning plant going from north to south, that way in the northern regions. Obviously, it's reversed if you live on the other side of the equator. The modes of planting in ordinary use are the following. 1. Hole planting, Hole planting. This mode of planting is generally employed for trees or shrubs that have attained a good size. It consists in digging holes sufficiently large to admit the whole of the roots in the natural position or in the same position and at the same depth which they had previous to their removal. The earth at the bottom of the hole should be well loosened. The roots should be covered with the finest part of the soil, and none of the soil should be returned till it has been broken up and pulverized. That means so it's loose and friable so it can easily go back in the hole, and also to help the roots grow more quickly. If the plant be of the tender kind, the surface of the ground after planting it should be covered with long dung or turfs to prevent it being injured by cold weather before it has properly taken hold of the soil. Number 2, trench planting. In digging a trench for planting box edgings, asparagus, nursery plants, and I'm guessing it's and etc., a line is generally used as a guide. The depth and width of the trench must be proportioned to the roots it has to admit, and that side of the trench next to the line is made perpendicular or nearly so. The plants are set against the upright side, and the earth being returned, the plants are fixed by treading it down. Number 3, trenching in planting. This method is adopted on light soils where the plants are to have considerable spaces between them, and therefore a continued trench is not a requisite. It is performed by two people. A line being set up or a mark made as a guide, one person turns out a sufficient quantity of soil to admit one plant, which the other person immediately puts into the hole, and the digger proceeding to make another hole throws the soil he takes up into the hole last made. When the row is completed, the earth is trodden down as in the last mode of planting. Trodden down means tamped down or pushed down. Please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to having you join me again next time, where I will highlight another plant, and I will continue to read from the book titled The Monster We Call Dad by D.A. Riles, which you can purchase from Amazon.com. Thank you for having joined me.